Welcome to the 2021 Economic Depression and Preparation channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you so much for joining me on this weekend edition, January 29, 2021. We've come to the end of the month and things are just as volatile as when the year began. Today, I want to talk to you about the number of jobless claims and also the amount of euphoria and absolute speculation that's happening on Wall Street that is exposing you to the absolute fraud and abuse and fakeness of the markets, like versus Main Street and what's happening in the real economy that we all know and have to live in. Prices are rising on goods and services, everything from food to gas to utilities to rents to mortgages. Everything is going to be going up sequentially and in a timely fashion as we get through 2021 year. It's going to be a crazy year, so be prepared for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to talk to you about our jobless claims. Thank you for joining me. Yesterday, we've got the jobless numbers. If you don't know, every Thursday, ADP and the Labor Department, U.S. Labor Department, issues the job reports for non-farm payroll jobs at 8:30 a.m. And the jobless claims came in at 847,000 initial jobless claims. Now, the media was spending it as this came in as a less than expected total because they were expecting 875,000 jobs. So when we lost 847,000 jobs, but just think about it for a second, 847,000 first-time jobless initial claims, that's more than some cities' populations outside of the major metro areas here. And the thing about it is that the continuing jobless claims are nearly just as high. We still have over 300,000 continuing jobless claims, meaning that people are not able to find adequate work. So right now we have over 25% of the population now that's underemployed. And what I mean by underemployed is that you may be working a Uber, Lyft, or a job like that, or a freelance job during the day, two part-time jobs where you don't have a full-time gig that brings in enough income to sustain you and your family. And so not only do we have 45 million people unemployed in America, the U.S. unemployment rate is still at 9.9%. It's about to hit double digits after next month. And on top of that, we have this euphoric stock market that is totally out of touch with reality. And the Reddit guys, they shorted GameStop, and that was just shows you the GameStop stock, if you don't know, was only $5 a couple of months ago per share. It's all of a sudden rose up to over $350 per share by a Reddit Wall Street group that shorted the stock to get back at a certain hedge fund company. And the thing is that what we have to understand is that the Wall Street, the house always wins, meaning the big mega billion dollar hedge funds have already predetermined which stocks they're going to support, and everybody else is just throwing money into a big Ponzi scheme. And that GameStop and AMC and others like that expose this Ponzi scheme for what it really is. It's just a big Ponzi scheme where only the top upper 1% get the cash out of the stock market. It got so bad that Robinhood, Webull, and other trading sites that use mobile apps shut down the trades of GameStop, AMC, Nokia, and other ones. You couldn't buy those anymore. They said you can only sell those shares if you had them because they wanted the price to artificially drop. Now, many in the Reddit, which is an online discussion community, said that they would plan to hold on to their GameStop shares and AMC shares in defiance of the SEC regulations and all of this nonsense. But isn't it funny that they want to regulate the small guys, you and I, the investors who are trying to just make an honest buck, but they won't regulate the big billionaire hedge funds and the big things because they're controlled by the same people. This is all a big Ponzi scheme. But regardless of what GameStop and AMC does, the broader market was only controlled by 5 stocks. 5 stocks control over 75% of the volume and market of the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 500, and the Russell 2000 and the stock market in general. We know those five stocks, the FANG stocks that everybody's been bought into: Facebook, Apple, Google, Netflix, Microsoft. Okay, those stocks control the market because they have the most market cap and the most money in it. So is this really a free market? I don't think so, guys. And that's why these cities are going to become absolute war zones toward the end of this year, and when the housing collapse happens toward the end of this year, and when the credit collapse happens toward the end of the year. I'm talking about the commercial credit collapse, which is already seeing now. How many vacant buildings have you seen in your cities and states and counties? Just look around at the small retail office space beyond the skyscrapers. Get beyond the fancy skyscrapers. Go down into your suburbs, into your lower middle class suburbs. Go down into your little small areas, your hinterlands. See how many commercial real estate you've seen that's closed, never to come back. And they put these signs, call this and such number, coming soon in 2022, but they never show up. Nothing never fills their place. So the cities, counties, and states are losing massive property tax revenue, massive municipal tax revenue, and they're going to try to turn to us to raise the taxes on gas tax, like Illinois raised the gas tax, New Jersey raised the gas tax. They're going to try to do that, but it's not going to be enough to make up the shortfall because there's only so much money in the money supply to be had. And the top upper 1% is not leaving anything for anybody else. And this is the 50th straight week of jobless claims above 700,000. Okay. On top of that, we have not only this, we have massive debt that's growing, which is going to continue to grow as we get our next stimulus check of, I believe it's $1,400 is anticipated. Now, that won't happen until after February 9th. As you know, Mr. Trump, former President Trump's impeachment trial begins then. And so once they work out the deal, somehow Biden is going to pull a rabbit out of his hat and give us that almost $2 trillion stimulus. So the $1,400, we probably won't even expect that until mid-March now. We're looking at mid-March for that stimulus to come through. And at the end of the day, $1,400 in most of these major cities like Chicago, LA, New York, DC, Philly, Detroit, Indianapolis, Houston, it's not going to pay the rent, let alone any other bills for saving or any type of investment. So it's just going to be an absolute disaster. And so that's why, in addition to getting food, water, medicine, get your security in order now, wherever you may be, because buying security items, I have to be careful what I say, but buying security items online or other areas is going to be harder and harder and it's going to be out of stock because people know that once this Ponzi scheme blows, that's it. Once the stock market, the credit market, and the housing market go, the average person on the street does not have any equity elsewhere. And the ultra rich people, the billionaires, the mega billionaires, they know that. And that's why they have private islands to go to and underground bunkers. They have all that because they know that once they pull the plug on this system, it is done. It's going to be like Mad Max on the streets. And so, are we surprised that the stock market is going down? Are we surprised that the stock market is in a mega bubble? No, because this has happened back in the 2000 dot-com bubble. But in addition to this, what makes this so unusual, unlike the 2000 dot-com bubble, is that everything is in a bubble. Everything from real estate to car prices to land prices to commercial real estate to food to gas to utilities. Everything is in a bubble, and when everything pops, it's going to be amazing because the whole world is going to wonder what happened, how did we get here, because everything is in a bubble. And so not only do the jobless claims and not only do the inflation is going to get the average person, but what's going to happen is the jobs are not going to come back because automation and robots is coming to replace us because the businessman does not want to pay benefits, retirement, anything of that anymore when they can get a robot that doesn't ask for breaks, doesn't ask for pension, doesn't have EOC grievances or any of that. And so technology is going to kill jobs along with this economy. And so this depression that we're going into, that we're in basically, but that we're going deeper into, is going to last at a minimum 15 years, ladies and gentlemen, before this economy. Matter of fact, did you see what happened to American Airlines today? American Airlines said that and United too, they plan on cutting jobs by March 31st when the PPP, the loans run out from the government. But on top of that, They said that they lost more than $30 billion, American Airlines, and they're gonna have to make cuts, and other airlines are gonna have to make cuts. Why continue funding something? Why continue bailing out something that's not working? Okay, because they have to pay the CEOs, the fat cats that have invested in these companies that are going under. And that was what's so remarkable about the GameStop thing, because GameStop is a company, in the mall, brick and mortar. We all know that most of the kids nowadays are downloading digital games on their phone or on their PlayStation 5 or Xbox One Series X or whatever. They're not going into the store and trading games. But I remember when I was little, when you would go, growing up, you would go to GameStop and you would trade in a game. Let's say you bought a game for your, I don't know, PlayStation 3, when I guess PlayStation 2 back then was like the big thing. And the game would cost $55, right? For a new game. Like it's like a John Madden football or something. You would go in and try to trade that in like 2 months later, and GameStop will give you like $5 for that. Anybody remember that? Or $10, and you paid $60 for this game, and you traded in just 2 months later to get another tape, to get a new cartridge for you, for your friend, or to play for your family, and they'll only give you $10. This is what this economy is doing to us. It's inflating the actual value of assets and resources. And so that's why this is going to be such a painful fall for much people, because the standard of living is going to drop overnight. We're going to become like a big Venezuela overnight. And the health crisis is going to be the least of our worries, but sanitation is going to go down because city services are going to go down. Remember, your trash is not going to be picked up. Some counties are going to cut a lot of resources, like trash resources. They're going to cut public utilities. They could even cut some school budgets, which means that your kids may, instead of going to school 9 months out of the year, they may only go 6 months out of the year, if they're able to get back into the building because of what's going on. And so just consider these things on your daily life. Consider how would I survive if the power grid goes down, if it's hacked? How would I survive if I can't get to the bank and get out cash that, was going to be kind of worthless anyway eventually, but I would need to have some greenbacks to get out of the city or to get in the country? How would I survive if there's an attack on the food supply? Do I have seeds to grow my own food? Heirloom seeds that you can get right now. Do you have solar powered lights? Think about these things, because it's going to be absolutely crucial as we go through the latter half of this year and things really start cracking down and they start restricting movement, travel, or other things based on this health crisis. And as you know, it's really all a sham, but this is what they got going on in the media and the news. And so we gotta pay attention. We gotta make sure that we're protecting ourselves. Make sure you're wearing your mask. Make sure you're protecting yourself, because it's real. It is real, but it's just that it's being blown out of proportion for ulterior motives that's gonna use to lock us down. By the way, the national lockdown, I believe, is still coming this summer. A lot of cities and states will implement curfew as a result of the health crisis, and crime will go up. So just something to be on the lookout for in the future, starting this summer between May and September. Be prepared for some type of lockdown that Joe Biden will institute and sign for a lot of the major cities, and a curfew will be in effect. So just something to look forward to. Thank you so much for joining me on this weekend edition. Be safe out there wherever you're at. If you're in a snowstorm this week, for those of us in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic, or if you're in the out west and the rainstorms in California, be safe, or the Midwest, wherever you're at, just be safe and be blessed, and I'll talk to you very soon.